Planning is the process of deciding in detail how to do something before actually starting to do it. Planning is the first and foremost function of management. All other functions are based on planning function. Planning is concerned with setting objectives and developing appropriate courses of action to achieve these objectives. Planning is an intellectual activity involving creative thinking, sound judgment, and imagination rather than guesswork. Specific goals or objectives are set out in the plans, along with the activities to be undertaken to achieve these goals. Thus, planning is purposeful. Planning is required at all levels of management, and as such, it is pervasive in nature. Planning is the foundation on which all other managerial functions rest. It serves as a guide for all other functions of management. It is the primary or basic function of management. Planning essentially is looking ahead and preparing for the future. Planning involves selecting a suitable course of action from among the alternatives and as such is decision oriented. Plans are prepared for a specific period of time. At the end of that period, there is a need for a new plan to be drawn on the basis of new requirements and changing environmental conditions. Thus, planning is a continuous process. Benefits of planning are numerous. One of the most beneficial aspects of planning is in creating goals to accomplish. These goals will provide right direction to the organization. Organizational members will have a clear understanding of what they should be trying to accomplish. Organizations operate in a dynamic environment. Planning helps the managers to face the uncertainty because planners try to foresee the future by making some assumptions regarding the contingency and other factors. Planning helps in better utilization of resources by reducing wastages and overlapping of activities. This will improve the productivity of organization. Planning is an intellectual process. So there is a great scope of finding better ideas, better methods and procedures to perform a particular job. Planning wants the managers to be creative and innovative. A manager identifies different alternatives for accomplishing the goals. Then the manager selects the best course of action from among the alternatives. So decision making is facilitated by planning. Standards or targets to be achieved are derived from the plans. These standards will form the basis for controlling. One of the main disadvantages of planning is that it leads to rigidity. Planning implies prior determination of policies, procedures and programs and a strict adherence to them in all circumstances. There is no scope for individual freedom or flexibility. Plans may not work in dynamic situations. Plans are based on forecasts which are mere estimates about future. These estimates may prove to be incorrect due to the uncertainty of future. Any change in the anticipated situation may render plans ineffective. Planning is an activity which is done by the top management. Initiative or creativity inherent in lower level employees may not always get utilized. Considerable time as well as money is required for the collection, analysis, and interpretation of information for planning. Therefore, planning is a time consuming as well as a costly activity. Plans are meant for accomplishing organizational objectives, but there is no guarantee that the actual performance will be as per the expected standards. Thus, planning has an element of uncertainty. Mere planning does not ensure success. Rather, efforts have to be made for it. Steps included in the planning process are being aware of the opportunities, setting objectives, developing premises, identifying the alternatives, evaluating the alternatives, selecting the best alternative, formulating support plans, and quantifying plans by budgeting. Identifying the strengths and weaknesses of the organization, as well as the threats and opportunities in the external environment, is the real beginning point for planning. Analysis of these internal and external factors will help in identifying the key strategic areas. SWOT analysis is a powerful tool for strategic planning. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Objectives or goals specify what the organization wants to achieve. Plans are prepared with a view to achieve certain goals. Hence, establishing objectives is an important step in the process of planning. Objectives specify the expected results and indicate the endpoints of what is to be done. Objectives should be set for the entire organization and each department or unit within the organization. The objectives of lesser departments will be more accurate if subdivision managers have a clear understanding of overall organizational objectives. After determination of organizational goals, the next step is establishing planning premises, that is, the conditions under which planning activities will be undertaken. Planning premises refers to the assumptions that are made about the future to make plans more realistic and operational. Planning premises provide a framework for planning. Premises can be external and internal. External premises are derived from the external environment like political factors, government policies, interest rates, etc. Internal premises are those which exist within the business enterprise, and examples are business policy, production facility, etc. Once objectives are set and assumptions are made, then the next step is to identify the available alternatives. A given objective can be achieved through various actions. For example, if the objective of an organization is to grow further, then the available options may be, say, diversification of the business, collaboration with other organization, taking over another organization, and so on. The course of action which may be taken could be either routine or innovative. The alternatives should be evaluated in the light of premises and goals. The pros and cons of each alternative should be weighed. Marginal analysis and cost effectiveness analysis are the techniques used for the evaluation of alternatives. Marginal analysis is an examination of the additional benefits of an activity compared to the additional costs incurred by that same activity. Cost effectiveness analysis, also known as cost benefit analysis, is an improvement of the traditional marginal analysis. Here, the benefit to cost ratio of the alternatives is calculated and is used for comparison. After having evaluated the various alternatives, the next step is to select the most suitable alternative. This is decision making. Best alternative is the one that is most profitable with the least amount of negative consequences and also that can adapt to the changing business environment. A manager's intuition and experience also play a big part in selecting the right alternative. Sometimes a combination of plans may be selected instead of one best course. The manager will have to apply permutations and combinations and select the best possible course of action. The main plan or basic plan should be supported by a number of derivative plans. Within the framework of a basic plan, derivative plans are formulated in each functional area. For example, if there is a plan to increase production by 50% in the coming financial year, then more labor, more material, more machinery, etc. will be required and necessary planning will have to be carried out. Derivative plans are invariably required to support the basic plan. The final step in planning is to quantify the plans by converting them into budgets. A properly prepared budget becomes a standard against which progress can be measured. Plans can be broadly classified as strategic plans, Tactical plans and operational plans. Strategic plan is concerned with defining organization's strategy or direction and making decisions on allocating its resources to pursue this strategy. Strategic plan lays out broad goals for the long term that a business wants to achieve. Strategic planning is done by the top level management of an organization. Tactical plans describe the tactics that the managers plan to adopt to achieve the objectives set in the strategic plan. Tactical plans span a time frame that is usually less than 5 years. Tactical plans are developed by middle level managers. Operational plans are short-term plans with a time frame of less than a year and are developed to create specific action steps that support the strategic and tactical plans. An operational plan also explains how or what portion of a strategic plan will be put into operation during a given operational period. Operational plans are developed by lower level managers. Operational plans can be further classified as single-use plans and standing plans. Single-use plans are developed for a one-time event. Such a course of action is not likely to be repeated in future. Examples of single-use plans are budgets and programs. Budget is a financial plan for a defined period of time, usually a year. Programs deal with the guidelines that are set for accomplishing a special project within the organization. The project itself is not intended to remain in existence over the entire life of the organization. Standing plans or continuing plans are meant for activities that occur regularly over a period of time. It is designed to ensure that internal operations of an organization run smoothly. Examples of standing plans are policies, rules, and procedures. Policy refers to the general statements or broad guidelines for making decisions. However, policies do not offer ready-made decisions or solutions. Rules lay down the do's and don'ts that are to be strictly followed by the members of the organization without any deviation. For example, no smoking is a rule. Procedure is a set of step-by-step directions that explains how activities or tasks are to be carried out. They are chronological sequences of required actions. Plans are also classified on the basis of time span. Plans with a time span of 5 years and beyond are referred to as long-term plans. Medium-term plans will have a time span of more than 1 year but less than 5 years. Short-term plans will have a time span of less than 1 year. This corresponds to strategical, tactical, and operational plans respectively. Management by objectives, MBO, or otherwise called as management by results, MBR, is a management philosophy propounded by Peter Drucker in the year 1954. MBO is a strategic management model that aims to improve organizational performance by clearly defining objectives that are agreed to by both management and employees. When employees themselves are involved with the goal setting and choosing the course of action to be followed by them, they are more likely to fulfill their responsibilities. In MBO, goals are expected to be specific, measurable, acceptable, realistic, and time-bound. That is, acronym of SMART. MBO cycle consists of establishing organizational goals, translating this to employee objectives and setting an action plan, periodic monitoring of the work progress, appraisal, and reward. Benefits of management by objectives include: objectives are discussed between employees and management before being agreed upon. Increased motivation and job satisfaction among employees. Employees more self-directed. Facilitates the employees to understand their tasks and duties in a better way. Eliminates overlapping and confusions in the tasks and duties. Leads to increased communication between management and employees. SWOT analysis is a tool frequently used in strategic planning. SWOT is an acronym for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT analysis is the process of identifying the internal and external factors that will affect the company's future performance. Strengths and weaknesses are internal in nature. Opportunities and threats are presented by the external environment. A variant of SWOT analysis is TOS analysis. SWOT analysis will identify the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the organization. On the other hand, TOS metrics identifies the relationship between these factors, and based on these, various strategies are devised. SWOT analysis or SWOT metrics is a strategic planning tool used by organizations to identify its strengths and weaknesses as well as external opportunities and threats. As a case study, consider a company operating in the renewable energy sector. The first step is to list out the possible strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the company, and typically involves creating a table split into 4 columns to list each impacting element side by side for comparison. Here, for illustrative purpose, only 2 to 3 factors are listed in each case, but while conducting an actual SWOT analysis, it is important to list as many factors as possible. Based on the listings, 4 sets of strategies can be developed. First set of strategy is SO strategy or maxi-maxi strategy. Here, the focus is on utilizing all the strengths or strong points of the company to grab as many available opportunities as possible. That is, maximize strengths and maximize opportunities. For example, in the present case, the company's strength of operating in the renewable energy sector S1 can be used to grab the opportunity provided by the government in giving financial assistance and other tax benefits O2. Corresponding SO strategy can be, say, purchase new equipment and machinery by utilizing the financial assistance and tax exemptions from government and expand the business. Strictly speaking, this is S1 O2 strategy. In some cases, one factor can be mapped with more than one factor from the other domain. For example, the reputation in the market S2 can be mapped with high demand for solar power installations in household O1. S3O1 also may be possible, and the corresponding SO strategy can be, say, utilizing the reputation and goodwill enjoyed by the company among the customers, capitalize on high demand to increase the sales by 50%. ST strategy or maxi-mini strategy is to maximize strengths and minimize threats. That is, by utilizing the strengths, minimize the threats. Speedy customer complaint redressal S3 can be used to overcome the threat of competition T1. And the corresponding ST strategy could be, say, close the complaint received from the customers within 12 hours so that the satisfied customers will recommend the company product over similar products offered by competitors. WO strategy or mini-maxi strategy is to minimize weaknesses by utilizing maximum opportunities. Shortage of funds W1 can be overcome by financial assistance from government O2. And the corresponding WO strategy could be, say, submit at least 5 proposals to the government in the coming financial year seeking financial assistance for new projects. WT strategy or mini-mini strategy correspond to minimizing weaknesses as well as threats. W2 can be mapped to T2, and the strategy could be, say, focus on local markets till overseas conditions are becoming favorable. SWOT analysis requires number of refinements before a final set of strategies are arrived. Strategies are arrived at by mapping the internal factors in the form of strengths and weaknesses with the external factors in the form of opportunities and threats. This can well be represented by a task matrix.